Hello everybody, we are back here on the Hunter Call the Wild, and today we're doing something a little bit different from what we would typically do. We're actually out on multiplayer right now, and I'm going to be hopping from server to server at as many different times as I can find, because recently Layton Lakes had a ton of changes that made the need zones a lot more, I guess, accessible, because before there was a lot of animals that would drink around the same time or feed around the same time, and with this recent update they made it so there's almost always a different animal drinking depending on the time of day. It starts off with elk, and then it goes into whitetail drink time, then it goes into blacktail drink time, and then it goes into coyote drink time, and I believe the rabbits are somewhere in between too, but they made a lot of awesome changes, and in fact I believe the moose is actually in between elk and whitetail, but basically what I'm saying is there's always an animal drinking now with the way they did the need zones. So I thought it'd be cool to go out into multiplayer, not really paying attention to what time the server's at, and just kind of hunt around and see what we can find, since there's almost always going to be something drinking. But I did decide to bring out the 6.5 Rayo today because this is by far my favorite gun in the game. It's got the nicest sound and it's the best looking. And you guys, most of you already know that, but I absolutely love this gun, and we don't really use it too much anymore because it is a little bit on the low-powered end of the spectrum of rifles. It sadly isn't that strong, but it is an awesome gun and I do love it, so we're gonna use it today and hopefully we can get some good trophies. But this right here is the type of thing I'm talking about. We got whitetail feeding out right next to where a lot of drink zones are for stuff like elk. And this is something you're going to notice quite a bit playing Layton Lakes post Rancho del Arroyo patch, because they completely reworked the placement of them. And there's a lot of spots where I've been hunting blacktail deer in their drink time, and there's been whitetail feeding right next to them, along the river and next to a lot of the main lakes. So I'm guessing it's the same at pretty much all times, but during the blacktail grinding that I've been doing, there's been so many other animals feeding very close to where the blacktail drink. And this is honestly an amazing change. I'm so happy that they did this because it makes it so you're not as limited when hunting on Layton Lakes. You can hunt at pretty much any time for anything and be able to see a large variety of different animals, which is really cool. Makes it so there's a lot more variety with what we see during the day when we're hunting here, which I'm always a fan of variety, so I'm a huge fan of this change. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this change, because I know for a fact that a lot of people are going to be playing Layton Lakes after this update because it really was a good balancing pass. I kind of hope some other maps get this in the future, especially Hirschfelden. If they did something similar on Hirschfelden where they just revamp all of the need zones and move them around into more convenient locations and change some of the feeding and drinking times, then I think Hirschfelden would probably get played more. But yeah, as I was saying, leave a comment down below if you guys are a fan of this change or if you don't like it for one reason or another. And if for some reason you don't like it, let me know why in the comments, because I'd be curious. So that's actually a pretty decent whitetail buck right there, so I think we're going to try and take him down. Definitely a decent sized one. And in fact, those antlers look like they're kind of growing upwards, so kind of interested to see what it looks like up close. But let's go ahead and zero for 150 and try to get this guy on the ground. And I believe that's a heart shot. I think that was a heart shot. I'm almost positive. You don't normally see a whitetail deer drop that fast from a 6.5, so I'm almost certain we hit the heart. I can't see that being anything else besides a heart shot, and that is kind of an interesting rack, so I'm glad that we took this guy out. He's got a ton of mass, and his antlers do kind of grow upwards. And yeah, that was definitely a heart shot, but that is just a very unique buck. Like, the way those antlers are growing is kind of wild looking. I definitely like that. A very odd whitetail deer. And I accidentally hit enter instead of screenshotting it. Well then. Another whitetail feed zone in a pretty awesome spot, and that's another good whitetail buck. Now, both of these last feed zones that we've been to have been along this river. The first one was back here. Now we've got another one right down here, so already you can see that the feed zones are in pretty good spots now, and I'm a huge fan of that. So with the 6.5 being a somewhat long-range caliber, let's try to get a long-range shot on this guy. Normally I would use the Argus for these long shots, but I think we can get this if we are careful. And we definitely did. He went down pretty fast. That honestly seems like it must have been a liver lung shot because he died really quickly. Well, I have absolutely no clue what we hit, but with that much blood, I'd say we definitely hit more than one vital organ. There's no way that we didn't. And yeah, that's about what I expected it to be. Stomach, left lung, liver, right lung. And it still didn't drop it. I guess that gives you guys an idea of why I say the 6.5 is my favorite gun, but it's also one of the weakest guns. It is a pretty awesome gun, it sounds amazing and it looks amazing, but all of that, and it still didn't drop it. Which is quite unfortunate. Hopefully one of these days it'll get a bit of a power increase or have its classes lowered, because currently it's a bit underpowered for being a 4 to 8 class rifle. Ooh, that is actually a pretty hefty rabbit right there, 5 to 6 kgs. That actually has a slight chance at making diamonds, so if we can get a shot on this little guy, we will. We're now on a different server that is actually at Blacktail Drink Time. This little rabbit is about 190 away, so we're going to need to use probably the second mil dot or just above it. But it shouldn't be too difficult of a shot if we can find where that little guy went again. I think he's actually right there, and yeah, it's definitely him. So let's see if we can just... And I think that went over his head. Somehow that one missed. I really don't know what just happened there. He was 190 away. I'm still just completely baffled as to why that did not hit that rabbit. It seems like it was going over his back. I really can't tell. But we zeroed him at, or we arranged him at 190 and we zeroed to 150, so that first mil dot should have been where we need to aim or just slightly above it. But apparently not. If you guys have any clue what just happened there, let me know down in the comments because I truly don't know. I'm very confused. Well, as much as I would like to try and track down that rabbit, I can't find any of his tracks around here. I found one in the actual need zone, but I have yet to see anything after that around this entire field right here. So I think it's safe to say that rabbit's gone forever, unless that's him right there. And nope, that was probably just a dust particle, but yeah, I think we're gonna move on. It's unfortunate though. Wait a minute. That's an 81 to 95 blacktail track running away from where I just drove my ATV to, so I bet I spooked them off away from this lake. Either that or he was already leaving based off these tracks. I don't even know. He might actually be heading down to this lake that we're going to right now, and if that's the case, I guess we'll see him down there, but that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that there was actually a big blacktail near, and I just saw a couple run off. That would be him, I believe. Yep, that's him, so definitely not what I was expecting to see, but I guess we'll take him anyway. That's an interesting looking deer. I don't think we even got him vitally. I'm not sure how the first shot missed, and then that second one was terrible, so it's gonna take him a while to die, but I think that was a one-antlered blacktail deer. And the one antler that it did have was incredibly wonky. So I'm honestly pretty curious if this is even an intended thing to be in the game, because it's been a while since these were first initially spotted in game, these weird blacktail that have one large antler and one small antler. I've never heard them touch on it as to whether or not this is intended or not, but it is quite strange when you do end up finding them, and yeah, not anything that we'll tax, but we'll get a couple screenshots of it. I've seen a few of these in the past. They're not really anything I care to taxidermize, so we'll just let it be remembered in this video, but 115.60, pretty low scoring. This would have been a pretty good one if it had actually had even antlers, but still pretty cool nonetheless. But I'd love to get an official word from the devs on whether or not that's intended or not, because if it is, cool. If not, then that's a pretty interesting thing to have happening. But it does actually remind me of some stuff that can happen in real life. Sometimes the older bucks will actually start to lose mass in their antlers, and sometimes it'll be one antler, other times it'll be two, but they just slowly get smaller the older they get, and I believe that's called a regressing buck if I'm not mistaken, and it's an actual thing that does happen, so if this is intentional, then I'd imagine that that's what it's trying to imitate, but it's hard to say. Ooh, there we go. So that right there is an albino blacktail doe. This is actually a level 6 server, so it doesn't surprise me that we found something good on this one. This is actually the first good thing that we've found today, besides like those couple whitetail bucks that weren't too bad, and that really strange blacktail, but this is the first rare. So we definitely want to try and get her down. If we can just figure out where she went. Oh, there she is. It's unfortunate that it's a doe, but I can't really complain. It's still a rare. So let's try to get a shot with the 6.5 and see if we can nail this. Had a little bit of weird scope shake there, but I think that did the trick, and it definitely did. So let's see if we can find one of those nice 4s also. I think we'll go for the one over here. I believe it went clear up to 172 on the estimate, so let's see if we can find him. Yeah, that's definitely not him, actually. Oh, there he is, right there. That's definitely the one. And I believe we just hit a neck shot. That was probably the best shot we've made today. Here's that level 4 buck. It was actually a pretty good sized one at 161. This right here is the rack that I really hope to get a rare blacktail with, because I do think this is one of the more realistic racks for blacktail. It's definitely one of the nicer looking ones, so if we could get a rare with this rack, that'd be absolutely amazing. That's kind of been our whole goal of grinding for whitetail recently, so hopefully we can achieve that at some point. It's a really cool looking rack, but as of now, all we've had is extremely small level 2 and 3 rares, so that's been kind of unfortunate. And here's our little albino blacktail doe. Been a little bit since I've seen a albino doe, so that is pretty cool. Would have preferred a buck, but still awesome. We're probably not going to tax her because at this point I've got way too many random female rares, and I'm probably going to go through and delete a bunch of them because they're just taking up extra space in my lodges. And I would like to be able to fit more diamonds and rare males, so we're definitely going to start cutting down on the amount of rare females that we have in our lodge, and just stuff in general that isn't super rare. So, not going to tax her, but that is a cool find. Okay, so that actually could possibly be a diamond level 4, provided it hits the very top of that estimate. With the way Call of the Wild's estimates work, it technically could be clear up to 177.90 because they kind of round it down to the, I guess, lowest number of the two. So that one does have a chance, actually. So I think we should definitely get him down. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have back tines, so I don't think it will be anywhere close to diamond. But on the off chance that they're just not rendering or something weird like that, we will take this guy down. And that looks like a single lung shot, so he's gonna go down in no time. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I think that could be a melanistic. I mean, I might be wrong, but that looks darker than the rest of them. Oh my gosh, if this is what I've been after, I think this might be a melanistic. This might be the end to our grind. Although he could just be the darker common like that one, because I'm pretty sure that's just a darker common. Let's get a little bit closer. Yeah, it's definitely just a darker common. But this guy right here looks even darker. I think that might be melanistic. Let's get a range on it, 250, so it's not going to be a super easy shot. We'll definitely need the Argus for this, but I think if we 0 to 300, make our dog sit so he doesn't get in our way, and then aim slightly low, this should be good. And I think that was a good shot. He's going down for sure. And now that he's out in the light, I don't actually think he's Mela. That's unfortunate. Well, let's go ahead and check. Yeah, this guy's definitely not the diamond rack. 166 is still a very solid deer, though. Not too bad at all. Nowhere near that upper estimate, sadly, and it looks like we just barely got the left lung. But still a solid deer. yeah, that's definitely not a melanistic like we thought it was, which is pretty unfortunate. The lighting can sometimes fool you in many different ways, and that was one of those scenarios. Just a small level 4. But it's always good to get them down just on that off chance that it actually is a melanistic and not just the shadows. But the search continues, so hopefully we can find what we're looking for eventually. What is that blacktail deer? Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm looking at right now. Hopefully he lifts his head up again. Oh gosh, what is that? Well, we gotta get closer and figure out what that guy is. I've never seen a blacktail look like that before. I thought it was a fallow deer for a second, because it had that exact same rack shape. That's kinda crazy. I'm happy that we managed to stumble across that. We may not have found any rare bucks today, but we've got one of the most interesting bucks I've ever seen. Let's get up to the top of this hill and see if we can get a shot on him. I honestly can't even tell which is him. I think that might have been it, but at the same time, that doesn't even look like it. There's a couple deer hidden in the brush here, but I can't fully see them, so I don't actually even know what to shoot here. I think he might just be tucked away in the brush. I think what we're gonna do is move further away and see if we can get that grass to de-render, and then try to take a shot from there. Well, I guess it was this guy. He looked much different from far off when we first got a look at him, but I suppose we'll get him down anyway on that off chance that he is a little bit of a strange deer, but from here it's not actually looking like it anymore. I think that should be a good shot, but it's hard to say, and yeah, one more, just for good measure. Well, that's definitely not as wild as I initially thought it was, but I do think this is a bit taller than this rack normally is at the very least, so I mean, either way, we got kind of a strange looking blacktail deer, if nothing else, but it's definitely not what I thought it was at first glance. I think it's because I saw it directly at the side like this, and when you look at him from this angle, he really does look incredibly strange. But once you look at him head on like this, he looks just like any of the other small blacktails, so I guess that's all it was. Well, that right there is a melanistic mallard duck. It is just a female, and it's quite a ways off at 220 meters, but that's still a pretty cool thing to see, so let's go ahead and use the first mill dot, or it should be right there at least, and it definitely was. So we'll wait for her to float in, and then I think I plan to go up in this direction to hunt these fields, because there's actually quite a bit of blacktail that feed here around this time. So that is another cool trophy on the ground, and another one that we can go ahead and toss in our lodge, because there's always plenty of the smaller plaques that we can put stuff like mallards on. So always gonna taxidermize these little melanistics whenever we find them, along with like leucistics and stuff like that. So can't really complain too much. It's gonna be a nice addition to the lodge and a good filler trophy. Well, unfortunately this field is incredibly empty, so I think we're gonna go ahead and call the hunt there. If you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, click the like button, and ring that notification bell so that you guys will never miss any of the future content. Also be sure to comment down below with what map you guys would like to see me do this on in a future video, because I would like to kind of do this on some other maps. Take a day to explore them and see what trophies that we can come out with, and kind of just hunt different times a day instead of just the same one over and over again like we typically try to do. So yeah, let me know down below which one you'd like to see me do that on, and if I like it, then we'll go there. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!